you ever sit down with your sketchbook, stare at the blank page and think, I don't know where to start? You're not alone. So today in this YouTube video, I'm sharing my tiny moments sketching method, a simple grid-based approach that helps you to overcome creative blocks and start sketching right away, even when you only have a few minutes. Now, this technique that I'm going to explain today is exactly the same technique that I teach in my course, Tiny Moments, which is an online sketching course. And both this video and that course are all about finding creativity in small, short, mindful bursts. So let's dive in. So the first thing that I like to do when I am creating a grid or smaller spaces to do my sketching from to kind of overcome that creative block is to divide the page either into small boxes, little frames or sections. And I've got some examples here in front of me. Now with this one here, I've simply drawn a couple of lines vertically and a few lines horizontally to just divide the page into a number of sections. With this one, I just roughly used a pencil to draw some rectangles. And with here, I had a little grid template that I used to draw some neat, square, 1-inch boxes within the sketchbook page. So for example, I used this cardboard template here, placed it down on my sketchbook page, and with a pencil, I draw my little boxes. This is a great place to start. I always find that small spaces to sketch in feel a lot less intimidating than a whole great big sketchbook page. And that's essentially the first thing. And do you know what? Sometimes I come to my sketchbook and I will just prep a few pages of squares. And do you know what? Sometimes that's as much as I want to do one day. Now, the second thing to do is to then think about what you're going to sketch in these spaces. And I've got some examples for you for different subject matters that you could try. Now, the first suggestion I like to call 3 lines. And this is exactly as it says in the tin. You take a square or a section, and within it, you just make 3 simple lines. This type of thing here is an example of that. This is really quick and a fun exercise. So I'm going to do the top 3 using this 3 lines method. And I can create my lines anywhere. I'm going to use the side of the pencil. So I'm going to go 1 line, 2 line, 3 line. And the only rule is they've got to be different. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So just a really fun, simple warm-up. The second suggestion is looking at pattern. I think pattern is a really fun thing to do. It's really mindful and relaxing, and I've got some examples in this little sketchbook here. So all you need to do is grab your sketchbook page and look at creating a simple single pattern across your little squares. I'm just doing a little curly whirly line here as an example, but you can get as intricate as you want. In this demonstration, I'm using pencil, but of course you can use any mediums or materials that you prefer. You could use a fine liner pen, a fountain pen. You could even use watercolor or paint to create patterns. I'll just do one more little example here. So this is just going to be a few little lines, and there's some other examples here. So you can create loads of little patterns. And the third example that I'd like to show you is color studies. And this is something that I love to play with, to explore in my sketchbook without overthinking. So some examples I have are here. And what I've done here is I've grabbed just a couple of colours of paint. I've got a blue paint, I've actually got a white paint and a cream. And all I've done is just splodged a little bit of each colour and filled each little section with a little blob of colour. And I've kind of just sort of relaxed into it. A few more examples here of using blue and cream, just little colour studies. I've got another example in this sketchbook here where I've used a dark, almost sort of black colour, a white and a green, and I've done a little bit of mixing. This is using acrylic paint. And you can see my squares are just this little bit bigger, and all I've done is in each square I've tried a different brush, I've made a different mark and just filled the squares with colour experimentations. And one final example is here where I've actually experimented with paint, but also just use a bit of coloured pencil over the top. It's still an abstract colour study, but I've had a lot of fun just filling the squares with some colour studies. And when we kind of work in this way, I tend to find that each box is like its own little world, and it's like a little tiny moment, and you don't have to fill in a whole page in a single sitting. You can do, one or two if you've just got 5 minutes. And these are by no means the only ways that you can fill these spaces. Here's 3 examples to get you started: 3 lines, a pattern, or colour studies. I would almost call these warm-ups, a way of sort of getting started, fill in a couple of minutes, but you can of course fill your squares with whatever you want. So for example, in this sketchbook here, I've done some little landscape sketches, little tiny mini ones in a bit of watercolour pencil and also watercolour paint. And each one is a tiny little landscape of its own. So when you work in these little boxes and squares, don't forget that the materials can be entirely flexible. I think it's really important to work with whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy. So for example, it works with pencil, as I demonstrated earlier in the video. You can do pen. So I've got examples here of sort of patterns that I've done with small dots in pen. It almost doesn't matter what materials you like. It's really about enjoying the process and using materials that you enjoy. And what I love about this kind of work, where you're just working in little squares, where you're playing about, it takes the focus away from creating a masterpiece, a great, beautiful sketch on a single page. It just gets you to kind of show up, do a little something, maybe observe, but just enjoy that creative pause in your day. And these tiny sketches really build up to something surprisingly meaningful, and you can kind of almost tell a little story within these squares and sketches. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this. So if this approach resonates with you, I'd love to explore it more deeply through guided exercises, video tutorials, and loads of creative inspiration. So come and join me in my Tiny Moments online sketching course. It's a mindful, self-paced sketching program designed to help you weave creativity into your daily life, one sketch at a time. You can find all the details about this wonderful course in the link below this video. And if you'd like to get started a little bit sooner, check out my recent YouTube video, 10 sketching prompts to kickstart your creative habit. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on this channel very soon. Bye bye.